Since 2021, I have been tracking every single penny that I spend and every penny that I earn as well. So all of this data is on Excel, and I have created a little sheet in order to share what I earn and what I spend. So in these videos, I'm going to show you exactly how much I've earned and how much I have spent in each month. We're going to start from 2024. So I've got January, February and March, as it's now April. Obviously we don't have Aprils yet. So I'm going to go through today January, February and March, showing you how I track all of my income and all of my expenses. So here we have the income section. Okay, so just to clarify, last year I was paid via PAYE. Okay, if I open up the categories, it was through a temporary agency towards the end of the year, which is why there is just under £400 through a temp agency on that. That's my last of my kind of full-time PAYE as an employee, effectively. I also do have a 4-hour a month almost guaranteed work, which is also PAYE. When I say 4 hours a month, that's the contract basically is sometimes I'll be paid, sometimes I'll be needed rather, for effectively 4 hours a month. Some months I won't be needed at all, which is why then the month after I might then do 8 hours or 16 hours or however many hours they require me for. So that's that money in there. That's under my PAYE category. I then move down, I've got freelance, and that's where I work as an instructor for a company. You see that's a minus in my income. That's actually how much I've had to spend out so far. So in that I'll include fuel expenses, any other travel expenses, whether I need to get the train, a boat, etc. to go and do those freelance work, and uniform. So January I actually had to purchase some more uniform, which is why there's £187.20p as an expense within my incomes. I have actually just done the first couple of days work for them, and that was at the I think it was the beginning of April. So in April you'll see hopefully that start to reverse in this January section, but until then it will be minuses due to the expenses. And when we come on to March, etc., you'll also see that there'll be expenses in that as well, just because of the travel that I've had to pay in advance. Moving on down, we've got business. The business section is the businesses that I run. So I have a I'm a sole trader as a media company, basically, where we produce videos, etc. And this is what I've withdrawn from the company as my takings, basically, as my pay. Following on down, I'm also a consultant for a limited company. When we come into the investments section and my outgoings, you'll see that the company is listed in that investment section, and that's where I put the money that I invest into the company, effectively. As I say, I am a director for that, but I also work as a consultant for it, which is how I am paid. The way I'm paid through that is through me invoicing the company, so that's why that's in there. And obviously I'll need to pay, I'll need to put that into my self-assessment come the end of the financial year. Moving on down to other, and this is where as I'm self-employed, I have to fill in my self-assessment, which is where HMRC will then send me a letter and say how much I owe. As you see, nothing in January at the moment. When we come on to February and March, you'll see that there are some monies needed in that section. So outgoings I've put into 4 categories: transport, household, investments and MISC, so my miscellaneous stuff. I'll have a look at transport first of all. So if I open up that tab, you can see I've got fuel, insurance, road tax, repairs, so obviously that's car repairs, vehicle repairs effectively, miscellaneous supplies for my transport, and then I've got public transport and holiday travel. If we look in January, I've only got £240, which is my road tax for my car. That's it. I've not had to spend anything on fuel or insurance because I pay that as a yearly as a yearly fee. No repairs, miscellaneous supplies, public transport or holiday travel, as I haven't been anywhere. So effectively that's just £240 as an expense for transport. Household, obviously it jumps up a fair chunk, just over £1,000. As you see in that, I've got food and general shopping, so that is anything I eat. You've got soap, shampoo and all that good stuff. Fast food, there's a bit of my treats, basically. So £28 in January I spent. Obviously January, February and March are kind of the worst months for me. I don't do too well within those 3 months. So in order to keep me going, I do treat myself to a takeaway. Doesn't really help the fact that I live literally next door to 2 takeaways. So yeah, not very helpful, but I've only managed to spend £28 on that, so we'll take that. When I go to work away for the freelance stuff, obviously takeaways does go up, fast food does go up, so that's because I'm working away and might not have access to an oven, etc. So okay, so electricity, I spent £150 in January on electricity alone. Obviously I work from home most of the time, so obviously I have 2 home offices, one for my sole tradership and one for my limited company. So yeah, so £150 on electricity. The rent, obviously that's a standard thing, £475 a month. Internet, that's obviously my internet bill, that's obviously going up as well now. And also I'll include anything like if I go and stay in a hotel, I might purchase an upgrade for the internet, for example. That would go into the internet section. Council tax is in there as well. Obviously that links in with my rent, so I have to pay that to the council. Subscriptions, so that would be things for like Netflix, Amazon Prime, anything like that, effectively. And as I say, it's £32 basically, and I know that's going to be going up in April because they like to increase all the prices as much as they possibly can. Household supplies, different to general shopping in the way that this is anything that is just for the house and not for me. So I might buy knives and forks, pans, something like that, light bulbs or something that's not in like general shopping. It's not something that I need to live, basically. It's nothing food. Consumables basically is food and general shopping, whereas household supplies is anything for the house, not for me. And then I put furniture because, I mean, last year or the year before I bought a sofa, and obviously I needed to put that in a category there. Right, we'll move on to investments, which is the bit more exciting section for me. And this is where I see I've got four investment categories within that investments category. As you see, it's a minus in it for January, so it's minus £35 basically, and that's because that's an income. So that's an income in my investments. So my limited company paid me £5, and that's basically a travel expense that paid me. So that's the reason it says a minus within my outgoings. My media sole tradership, again, it's $29.99, basically £30, and that's for expenses as well. So anytime it's a minus, it'll be they're paying me expenses. Whiskey, obviously, where I live, I do buy bottles of whiskey that might go up in price. So if I buy one, it'll be listed in the whiskey section on this category. And if I sell it, obviously it will be in there as well as a minus. Project 97 is a top secret project that I can't share yet, but obviously there's no money going through it. So hopefully towards the end of the year, Project 97 will be able to kick off, and I can share some more details about that. We're going to come on to MISC, and this MISC section is everything else, basically. So animals, days out, racing, betting, gambling, clothes, gaming, gifts, holidays, bank interest charges, and social media subscriptions. So as you see, it's a minus again, so that's an income, and that's, if you look down, it's minus £251 from bank interest and charges. Well, that's because I've got money in savings, and the amount of money in my savings earns me £251 basically. That also includes premium bonds and anything like that from the UK. So as you see, obviously £10 basically spent on animal food for a pet, and then betting and gambling £50. As I say, the first few months of the year are not very good for me, so I need something to keep me going. So betting and gambling, just like takeaways, you'll see there. And anything I spent on clothes, gaming as well, so if I buy any like Steam games or anything like that, I do like my simulation games, so they're on there as well. Gifts and all that sort of thing are on there. In fact, I can't tell you what the 43.50 was because I can't remember. Holidays as well, so if I'm planning to go away, I'll put a holiday down in this section. So that's basically all of my income and expenses for January. If we look in February and March, obviously there is a little bit of a gap in February for PAYE and freelance. Again, that's because I didn't do any work as a PAYE, and my freelance, I didn't spend anything or earn anything as a freelance person. Whereas my business, obviously £580 in February, and then it was less in March. As you see in the investment section, down here, you've got minuses, so that's an income in my outgoings for investments in both February and January, and then in March it's a positive. Well, the reason this is a positive is because I've had to buy a laptop in order for me to work away as my media sole tradership, which is why it's just under 3k basically in that expense. Obviously, as we go on, April, May, June, July, August, etc., that will hopefully be reversed. So that'll start paying me back, and hopefully again I'll be in business in April. You'll also see an income for that section as well, but it just obviously depends on how hard I work and how much people want to pay me money. Again, obviously I'm looking at miscellaneous as well, £104 as an income. If I open that up, again you can see it's £150 I've earned in interest or premium bonds basically. And then you see animals, obviously I've spent more in February. Obviously there's quite a lot of empty bits in this section as well. So obviously I didn't spend anything on days out, racing or anything like that, so I do a bit of sim racing, so that's in there. Clothes, I've not had to buy any new clothes at all at the moment. I'm just on a bit of a saving spree. As I say, this is the first year I'm fully self-employed effectively. Obviously I'm not counting in the fact that I've got a 4-hour a month PAYE, because that's not full-time basically. So now I'm full-time, I can now I'm not full-time, shall I say, I can spend everything, all my time on my businesses and my freelance stuff. So we're going to move on to have a look at how that compares, so the income compared to the outgoings, to give me my profit and loss. So as I say, I'm now fully self-employed, so I am treating myself as a business, and it's not just, so I do my business accounts as well, so my limited company, that has its own accounts, and so does my sole tradership, that has its own accounts. This is just me personally, and I treat myself as a business in order to figure out where I'm making money and where I'm losing money. It just kind of keeps me straight basically. Here you see January, £800 as my income. Outgoings is 1,100, so that means I've made a loss of £308. February, I earned £511, with my outgoings being £766, which means I only made a loss of £254, which means I was basically £50 better off in February than I was in January. Whereas we come to March, it changes a bit further. Obviously income is down because I've made that big purchase, which is obviously how that's obviously gone down because of the purchase. I've had to obviously buy that out of my own money and then expense it to my sole tradership. So that's only down to £221 of income, and my outgoings being just under £4,000, which means I made a loss of £3,722, Obviously that looks really bad, and it is really bad, but I'm quite in a lucky position to have some savings in which I'm basically living off as my emergency fund, basically. As you see down the bottom, I've got rolling, so that's taking the January and adding it to the February, so that's why it's £563 rolling, so that's how much I've made a loss to the end of February, and then to the end of March, obviously I've made a loss of £4,285. So far this year, I have lost £4,285.49p. But if you actually look at my business accounts, obviously they are doing well enough in order to start paying me back the £3,000 loan, effectively, for me buying the laptop that I needed for the sole tradership. So there we go. There's the answer. I made a loss of £4,285 within the first 3 months of this year. Leave me a comment down below and tell me how much you think I will make or lose throughout April. Until May, goodbye.